Dear fellows and citizens of this earth, in order to show our consideration and respect to all people on earth, despite being citizens of small or big nations, we are presenting in this episode the interview with a witness, who has experienced several close encounters of the first kind, observing the presence of extraterrestrial civilizations in the aerospace above our Earth and in space. The human understanding of the infinite space and infinite time, it has been curtailed cyclically by the attempts of manipulating the general populations through the dogmas prepared carefully and enforced by the political elites of our previous societies. This started since it was plunged upon our humanity on earth the economic relations of slavery to satisfy primarily the greediness of wealth for the few to be increased through wars, occupations of others' territory and resources, oppression to the level of genocide and manslaughter, which previously in the human history of earth has resulted even in immense destruction caused by the greedy man. As a result, were affected negatively in our past human history the rhythm of development of our societies, that on the top of the destruction caused by nature, the greedy man caused further more destruction of values. These caused, that the human technology to have backtracked or even stalled for hundreds of years in a row, that did not allow our previous human societies to have a better view of the environment around and further of the solar system and deep space. Also, the mischievous events in our past human history caused that our previous human societies were not able even to have a better technology of travel, that even before the last 200 years, the humans on Earth were relying on the primitive wheels of the carriage dragged by the animals. All of these severe restrictions of understanding, viewing and travel by our previous human societies, it means that our humanity on Earth was cyclically moving 2 steps forward and 3 steps backwards, and so our development was extremely slow. In this pathway of human development on Earth, were even lost previous treasured knowledge and technology, that caused our previous human societies remain temporarily but for a long time of millenniums with their naive and anachronistic understanding, myopic viewing, and primitive means of travel. This is as a result of human syndrome, as modern psychiatry have clearly explained in our modern times. The turbulent road of our human development, even ignored and ridiculed any serious interpretation of hundreds of celestial events in different parts of the world, which had clear indications of the presence of extraterrestrials in the aerospace of Earth and happened previously during the European Renaissance, because it was the Inquisition that stated the stupid dogma and enforced it to the populations of Europe, that the Earth is flat, and even today we hear stupid ideas of hollow Earth and holographic moon. In our past, our human weaknesses, instead of driving our ambition to improve our knowledge rapidly, they have caused us to create and embrace the creation of the religion, and furthermore its diversification to several branches of the religion, which even to this modern time of our societies, try to apply and enforce on the populations their ideological dogmas to create more separation from each other and not to join us with each other, like brothers and sisters we are on planet Earth, but brothers and sisters with the right of absolute personal choice. The nature of such events in the life of thousands of our fellows and citizens of different nations all around our Earth, it shows that the hard-working man and woman understands very well the simplicity of science, and particularly the simplicity and complexity of our life and the life in general. But, due to the agnostic attitude and mentality of many scientists around the world, particularly those who are bureaucrats on the payroll of different wealthy elites, they still hide the truth even if they know it, and above all some of them go to extended lengths, even to deny the basics of common sense, that the human life on Earth is not an exception in space, but in contrary, it is a destiny within the wide infinite range of organizing systems in the infinite cosmos. Only based on the Kepler space mission data, it was concluded that there could be as many as 40 billion Earth-sized planets orbiting in the habitable zones of Sun-like stars and red dwarf stars within the Milky Way galaxy, and on the grounds of the famous Drake's equation, only in the Milky Way there are more than 15,000 intelligent civilizations. Meanwhile, when a famous scientist like Enrico Fermi, who was a devoted Catholic, although a scientist, and was working at Los Alamos Laboratories in the USA, he created the most devious paradox that has happened in the history of modern science, that although the probability of development of intelligent life is extremely high, and because we have not seen or contacted it, it does not exist. This is a far-fetched length of a great mind going blank for the fact that he was working at Los Alamos, where are conducted a wide range of ingenious experiments with extreme positive results for the development of our humanity, but still being kept secret under the USA law to maintain the technological edge on Earth, meanwhile of his contradiction of him being a scientist and a devoted Catholic under the wraps of the Vatican at the time of 1950s.
I'm a European and human being on this earth. I'm originated from a European country, and I'm stating this for the fact that witnessing of extraterrestrials and their UFOs are experienced all over our earth. I'll try to explain as better as I can. On July 1997, on a clear and very dark night sky, I was together with some other people on the top of a mountain in southern Europe, high above the sea level of about 3,000 meters. We were watching the sky and dreaming for better things. The sky was extremely clear, without humidity, or any fog or clouds. We were watching the stars so clearly that we could recognize the Milky Way and constellation of stars. After some time, at about 2 a.m. after midnight, we watched very clearly an object which was at the height of the stars and was flying extremely fast. We thought it was a UFO. It was like commencing a jump from one cluster of stars to the next cluster. We were shocked that such a UFO with such high altitude, it was jumping such far distances between clusters of stars. This experience continued for about more than 2 hours, nearly before 5 a.m., when the dawn was coming. I tried to reason for the extremely high altitude of the UFO with my friends, who were witnessing the same event at the same time as me. One of my friends reasoned using the ancient method of measuring the distance between stars, or the distance between clusters of stars, with the help of his tongue, and the width of his hand, measuring the distance between the two occasional positions of the jumping UFO from point A to point B, measuring then the angular distance between the 2 points of the UFO, and in relation to our position on the top of the mountain. In that regard, my friend used the same method for the distance between the nearby stars of the two positions of the UFO, and knowing the measurement of his hand, the position of the zenith above our head, and the distance of 90 degrees of the zenith from the horizon. This is called the ancient sexagesimal method, which still is used to our modern times through the sextant apparatus. We concluded that the UFO was at the height of the stars, in the direction of the Milky Way. All of us, we were astonished. That's how our education system always have tried to teach us that we are alone in this universe. We are only a late, sudden development of humanity on our Earth, only about 5,000 years ago. At the time, even in some of the best museums that we have visited around our Earth, it was studied the same, and even further, we were discussing with each other that the UFO, it is of extraterrestrials, that cannot be ours. So we realized that our astonishment that we are not alone in the universe, but everything else seemed, particularly to me and to my friends, as a big lie. And I felt extremely little, but also humble, that I was lucky together with my friends to have witnessed such a great event in the sky of stars. Then another event happened. In August 2015, I was together with some other friends on holiday in a southern other European country. And at the time, we were watching the sky late at night. And I felt the presence of somebody watching me or my friends. I got the DSLR camera and I clicked the photo shoot button several times in the night sky, towards the moon, without any zoom. And when I watched on the touchscreen of the camera, I realized that was appearing an object. in the form of land, that it was kind of flying hovering disc with an orange color, with an indentation in its middle. Above the nearby mountain, I tried to watch with the zooming camera a nearby dark sky, and the camera was showing a moving object that was appearing and disappearing. I tried to video it, but the camera couldn't capture any video of the object. Although on the screen, the object was showing at 1/10 of a second and disappearing. I discussed with my friend that, as we have heard from other witnessing sources, the UFOs of the extraterrestrials are attracted to powerful magnetic fields, and this mountain where we photographed the UFO is mainly granite, which is prominent stone in dry and wet conditions to show electromagnetism. Well, another event, in August 2017, I was again with some other friends on holiday in another Central European country, and we were playing in the night sky after midnight with laser flashlights, playing with different figures like circles, squares, rectangles, hieroglyph signs of life or eternity. And after about 1 hour after our play, at about 1 a.m. after midnight, a UFO drops from the height of the stars and stops at the average altitude range of about of our laser flashlights, which was at between 25 to 30 kilometers high. At the beginning we thought it was a strange object, and we continued to give on and off signals with the laser flashlights. At the time the UFO responded back to us with on and off light signals corresponding with our signals. We were shocked, and due to that we stopped playing with the laser flashlights, and the UFO repeated the light signals again several times, and then, when it did not get any response from us, it flew above our heads and went above in the sky in an extremely rapid speed, which does not compare with any of the best aeroplanes that our humanity have. This has left an embrace for me and my friends on our consciousness and our understanding that we are not alone in the universe.
Such witnessing has been experienced in many other different regions of our Earth above the traffic airspace of different nations, despite being small or big. This is another fact that our civilization, comprising of different societies of our Earth, it is being under surveillance and even quarantined by other extraterrestrial civilizations. In that regard cannot be any other logical explanation, because the intensity of experiencing extraterrestrial civilizations' presence in our aerospace, or even on Earth, it is happening so often in a considerable density within months, years, and it continues, and it will be the trend of the future of our humanity on this Earth. We still do not know what are the intentions of those extraterrestrial civilizations towards us Earthlings, because the extraterrestrials show interest to our daily life, and if we move any lights in the night sky they try to reply to us to test our level of intelligence and consciousness. It is understandable that they include extraterrestrials with good intentions or sinister intentions, which we do not know, because as it is written in the all-holy books, God created us in His image. Due to the naivete of our ancient predecessors, the extraterrestrials who visited and intervened on our Earth, they were idolized like gods by our ancient predecessors. In that regard, the unity of our civilization on Earth among all our different societies from the east to the west, and from the north to the south of our globe, it should and it is our primary necessity in order to show to other civilizations of extraterrestrials, that we are a peaceful and smart civilization in the family of all galactic civilizations. Our unique civilization on Earth cannot be understood without the cooperation of all our societies from the east to the west, and from the north to the south. Otherwise, we will suffer still setbacks, that the ignorance and arrogance of the human beings, who even are in the position of some political leaders who develop and try to convince us for such dangerous and narrow-minded dogmas, which they call doctrines in the jargon, such as the unrestricted war and deterrence doctrine. This means that our humanity on Earth is comprising its different societies through perpetual war in the forms of economic, diplomatic, ideological, cold, and even proxy hot wars, and every superpower has the right to withdraw from international nuclear treaties in order to find excuses with the justification of accusing the others for the perpetual risk and fault. Dear fellows and citizens of this Earth, do you think that the development of nuclear weapons is absolute mental deficiency in the form of delusions of grandiosity and psychosis of fear of such aggressive leaders, or it is their absolute right to cause us the apocalypse? Dear fellows and citizens of small and big countries and nations, do you think that we should live always under the fear of war, and particularly the fear of nuclear war? Do you think that this is called the deterrence doctrine or the madness doctrine? Dear fellows and citizens of small and big countries and nations, do you think that ignorant and arrogant international statements of uneducated bureaucrats who shout, "Shut up and get away" should be left without criticism to cause international premises for war of whatever form?